everybody, it is Tuesday, Octa time, and we're back on schedule. This video will break down some of the stuff that we see out there in the tea leaves that predict a very good next 2 months for the markets, especially Bitcoin. And tariffs be damned. It's, as I mentioned before, I think a couple of weeks ago, the faster we fall, the faster we rise up again. And that's exactly what's happening. So let's get into... turn mic on. Thank you. That's always... This is what happens when you spend all your time. Right, testing, 1, 2, 3. That should be it. So, I hope you heard the first part. Anyway, let's get into why Q2 will be very, very good. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to the mods in the chat, and Angle Blackson, and TNT Tesla, and Sean Donnelly, and K8, and everybody else. Let's pull up the actual... No. This one. Yeah, actually. This one. Little me on the top left, so you can see me. And I am Colt is back. Colt, we got a horse here in one of the logos today. We'll be talking about some of the crazy stuff that's happening. A little bit of black hole stuff. Another black hole with MicroStrategy. What 1 inch is planning. And a big buy signal there too. Tesla. Sui. Sui's been on fire. Sol and Bitcoin. That's kind of some of the stuff we'll talk about today. Let's get into... Disclaimer, of course, not financial advice. And thank you as well to everybody on Patreon. This is from John Manuel. The best Patreon, the best community you can ever find. Thank you so much. And you all make it possible. All the best people. Thank you. Now let's get into the ugly news first. You can see here some of the big unlocks for the week. Some usual ones that are always there almost every single week. We got Eigen, IOTA, Cello, Optimism. 1 inch. Speaking of 1 inch, and there does appear to be a tiny unlock. It's on the list, but it's less than 0.01%. So don't worry about that in the next 20 hours. Sui's on there as well. And another 2.28%. Zeta, Kaspa, Move Layer. A lot of these names I don't even know, but it's funny that 1 inch is on the list. And we'll be talking about 1 inch today. But again, you always have to look at the percentage of the unlock, and that is very insignificant. So not a concern at all. Next, we had some crazy stuff happening in Europe. I'll turn myself off. Spain is putting renewables to the ultimate test from Bloomberg. This was on the 11th of April, 2025. The Bloomberg article thought, could it work? We're not sure. Well, for Michael Aoué, it did not work. It failed. And, the dismantling of all the nuclear power plants was probably a mistake that happened not only in Spain, but also in Germany. And now people are trying to, apparently in different parts of the world, rebuild nuclear installations. Renewables are great, but the world isn't quite ready to go 100% renewable just yet. Unless you live in a very windy place or a very sunny place and you have infinite solar panels. A little bit of bad news now. Next, ARK had the largest outflow ever in the history of ARK. They lost, I can't remember, it was about 2,300 Bitcoin, 2,380 Bitcoin. And this is from Tom Farah. But the key thing here is ARK, and I've always noticed this, ARK tends to be used by the hedge funds. That's where they like to go buy the Bitcoin and do the carry trade and then sell it fast. So for some reason, hedge funds like to do that. And that action that you're seeing there is from hedge funds. They are not the retail investors that are stacking, because we know that the retail investors that buy the Bitcoin ETFs are very sticky. Very sticky indeed. It's the hedge funds are very fickle, and the hedge funds make up about 20, sometimes 30% of the actual holdings of these ETFs. So quick in and out, and that's just what happens. Also, stock fear and greed is still in the fear zone, where crypto is in the greed zone. And a little bit of other macro news, which is very bad. This is the goods trade deficit in the US, and it continued to blow out in March, a new record high, 162 billion versus 145 billion estimated, and it was 147 prior. So what people were trying to do is stack the shelves with stuff quickly. All international orders of goods going overseas kind of stopped, but they're trying to bring in some of the stuff very quickly, especially things like the car makers in the US where they have to bring parts in from Mexico and Canada and other places. That's what has triggered this. And a lot of people are tired of hearing about trade deficits and tariffs, just like myself. Hopefully, all the negotiations will be settled and done in the very near future. And so for some are celebrating the new Prime Minister of Canada. Shout out to our Canadian friends. But this is Ursula saying congrats to Mark J. Carney. Anyway, moving on. Ta-da! Good news at last. Fear and greed, as I mentioned, for crypto is now greedy. Very good. And we are still in Bitcoin season. It's been hovering here since the beginning of March at 18. It is just not moving because basically the Bitcoin dominance is 62%, is super high. And the alts have not returned yet. I'm watching Bitcoin as we speak. 95,451 is looking really strong. And I wonder, is there any crypto things actually moving right now? Wow, Genova is still running. MSTX, MSTU, CoreWeave, CEP, Stark, Sofi. We'll talk about Sofi as well today. Solana's north of 150 again. ETH is even up 1.4%. So things are rocking pretty well, but still. The story today is about where we go towards the end of Q2, and I still got questions. What do you mean by Q2? That goes out till the end of June of this month, so we have about 2 months left for things to kick off. Now, April did turn positive, which is also great news. We're now up 13%. Actually, it's probably 13% now because when I measured this, it was about half an hour ago. Since then, Bitcoin's gone up $400, $500. And as I've also said many times, April is the second best month of the year for Bitcoin. May averages 20% return, and June 7.8% return. But remember, if you go back and look at Feb and March of this year, which are also pretty good months on average, nothing happened. We were negative. Instead of being up 14.6%, we were actually down 14.6% in the month of Feb. That's nearly a 30% swing. Adam Q, thank you for coming. So we expect good things to continue for the next 2 or 3 months, but we'll see. And there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes, which we'll break down too. We have this. Let the game theory games begin, ladies and gentlemen. Arizona just became the first state in the nation to pass the strategic Bitcoin reserve. Remember, if you're not first, you're last. First part. Second, Texas is going to be next in the box. And after that, you can just expect a domino effect. Everybody will have to get some. And remember, I think these folks are thinking of allocating about $3.5 billion. I didn't even think Arizona had that much. $3.5 billion into Bitcoin over the next year. That is huge. And that's on top of all the buying from MicroStrategy and other players out there. CEP is coming too, which is the new 21 firm. So again, this is super exciting. And then the US government is also going to stack. And they're not going to go back on their word because they have shown that they do keep their promises. So US is trying to figure out ways where they can buy, but they need to buy fast because everybody else is going to front run them unless that happens. So this is yet another catalyst why I believe Q2 and the rest of 2025 could be very positive. Also, because of one thing to note too, I'm kind of off on a tangent here, because of the tariff tensions, the bull run may have lost 3 months, January, February, March, because everybody hit the pause button. Nobody was deploying capital until the bottom. Then we all bought the bottom. But a lot of people hit the pause button, and that may have delayed the Bitcoin cycle out beyond October 2025 into 2026. We shall see. Investing KO, thank you for coming. Now, what other good news do we have? This is from Standard Chartered, and their little point was kind of interesting. They're always kind of bullish and very pro Bitcoin, but they came out, a guy, I think his name was Jeffrey Kendrick. He said he's the head of global digital asset research at Standard Chartered Bank. He said Bitcoin is going to pump to 120,000 in the second quarter of 2025. And this is driven by factors like US investors turning to non-US assets. Important point there, non-US assets. Guess what Bitcoin is? It's a non-US asset. It's just an independent asset. And people are kind of a little bit concerned about stocks right now. And the other good part is from Standard Chartered, is Kendrick maintains the price target of $200,000 for Bitcoin by the end of 2025. So this is pretty aggressive when a bank pounds their fist on the table and say 120 in the next 8 weeks. Okay. And then 200K by year end. You know, they're putting their reputation on the line. We'll see how correct they are. And some of the analysts that are predicting crazy numbers, you know, you got $1 million, $2.25 million, etc. this bull run all over the place. I've never seen such, I've seen some bullish forecasts in the past, but never like this. So let's hope they're somewhat right, everybody. And Glassnode, they have this mapping study. It's their Bitcoin supply mapping update. And it says first-time buyers and momentum buyers continue to show strong engagement. Profit takers have stopped a little bit, unless it's the smaller areas. And they believe this is very constructive because it shows you new demand from new players and trend following participants without any distribution pressure. And this shows you the durability of the recent rally. And we're still going higher, ladies and gentlemen. This rally is far from over. Bitcoin 95.4 as we speak. And the toss-up was, for me, in a survey I did last week, we were at, once we hit 95K, it's like 5K up to 100K or 5K down back to 90K. And 7% of the audience believe we'll hit 100K first. So again, a lot of the data I'm sharing here points to a pretty bullish scenario, barring any unforeseen circumstances as well. And Sofi is back, just like Robinhood came back a few months ago. Sofi is back too. They will launch their Bitcoin and crypto trading for 10 million customers. And remember, this is from Archie. Remember, Sofi was forced to drop Bitcoin in 2023 under the Choke Point 2.0 administration that wanted to strangle crypto. It's a very different world today, so it's good to see Sofi back, but it shows you how conservative they are. They waited. They saw Robinhood jumping back in, but they waited up until now. So we'll see if that helps. Again, 10 million customers now have an on-ramp to Bitcoin and crypto trading. So this could only help. Also, this is the percentage of Bitcoin supply in profit, everybody. The good news is we are now approaching what's called a historic euphoric threshold. And what that typically means is when the supply and profit surpasses the 90% of those that own Bitcoin, 90% are in profit, that typically triggers a euphoric phase. And we are now approaching that level. This is by Dark Faust. So we are currently at, I think, 88.6%, if I'm not mistaken, or 86.8%. We're super close to that 90% in profit. And when that happens, people just party. They go mad. Doc Intern, thank you for coming too. So good times there. Also, and again, I don't make up these charts, but I do share the data. And if I can find ugly and terrifying and bad data, I share that too. But here, this is another great chart as well from the team at Blockware. These folks understand mining and the relationship between mining and Bitcoin price. But per this chart, basically it tells you Bitcoin is likely to go up soon. That's after being on a rampage. And the reason is the cost to produce one Bitcoin is now equal to its current price. And that's usually a very strong signal that the bottom is in. Now, before I go further, people will ask, what do you mean exactly price? Well, a couple of things have happened behind the scenes for the miners. One, the hash rate has gone above 1 zettahash, which puts a lot of pressure on Bitcoin miners. And yes, despite the fact the price is up higher than it was before, it's also much harder to mine Bitcoin. Therefore, they need more electricity, more resources to mine the same reward. That's the first part. The second part is as well, this is an average of all miners. Some miners can mine profitably at 50K, 60K Bitcoin price. Others, they need 110K, 120K. So this is the average miner break-even cost. The winners will continue to win, and the losers will continue to burn electricity and not mine as much rewards. I will not get into who they are, but I do have a mining video coming up soon. It just takes a while to pull all the data together. Now, why is this chart important? And the answer is very simple. It is a strong signal the bottom is in because it doesn't make sense for Bitcoin to trade below what it costs to create. And that's the logic behind this chart. And in the past, every time that this happened, the price jumped higher. Okay, all of those little red arrows, boom, 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 bottom, bottom, red, boom, price goes up. Will this time be different? It could be. Is it likely? No. Therefore, we're about to see the same thing happen again, and Bitcoin will probably surge before the end of Q2. Again, how many data points have I shared now about surging prices? It's probably going to happen. We'll see. Also, shout out to our friends in the UK. This could be categorized as bad news if you're holding real estate or fiat, but good news if you hold Bitcoin and you rent a house. So in February 2017, a house in the UK was £198,000, 258 Bitcoin. In 2021, it was 9.48 Bitcoin, about £229,000. And today, it's £268,000 for the average home in the UK, 3.18 Bitcoin. That's staggering. Just since 2017, a mere 8 years ago, a house has gone from 258 Bitcoin to 3. And soon it'll be 1. And then for all of you who bought like Bitcoin at, say, £10,000, soon you'll be able to trade that for a house that'll cost more than £300,000. And that is the demonetization of everything. This little Bitcoin thing that I talk about a lot is eating the world. So I thought it'd be fun to share some British data too, as well. If there's any Brits in the audience, let me know if you like this chart. And again, demonetization of everything is happening. Soon as well, by the way, debt could become demonetized. I'm going to talk about that in detail later this week because I had this kind of big aha moment. What would happen if Bitcoin became the collateral for global debt, whereas assets were not, but Bitcoin was? Think about that for a second. The answer is extremely important to know. Also, shout out to James Van Straten, also in the UK. He talks about how MicroStrategy is catching IBIT in terms of the size of bag. There's now just a 20,000 Bitcoin difference between MicroStrategy and BlackRock's ETF for Bitcoin. IBIT have, I think, 573K, and MicroStrategy have over 553K, so 20,000 difference. And the flipping is approaching. Remember, BlackRock came to the party early 2024. But look at the growth of MicroStrategy just since that same time frame. In fact, ever since November 2024, MicroStrategy went into high gear, basically doubling the size of their Bitcoin bag in 20 weeks. That is staggering. And remember also, the price at which they're doubling the Bitcoin bag was a high price of Bitcoin. They're not snacking on Bitcoin at 10,000 or 20,000 or 30,000. They're buying it in close to $100,000, sometimes over that too. So this is crazy, crazy information to see. I personally believe at this rate, yes, MicroStrategy will snack on another 20,000 Bitcoin, probably over the next 2 to 4 weeks. Bookmark it. Boom. And top 50 performance over the last 30 days. We saw still a lot of names to the right in red that are underperforming Bitcoin. Bitcoin up 10% over the last month, but other names are beginning to come back. You can see Sol is up, has beat Bitcoin over the last month. Ondo, XMR, Monero had a big move yesterday. We covered in DCA. You've got Kaspa, Hype, Sui, Tau, great week. Tau was mentioned by some legend in the space, and that has gone up a lot too. So again, could this be the beginning of old season coming back? We shall see. And narrative time. NFT apps are the top narrative over the past month, which is very strange to me because When I see NFT apps becoming very popular again, it means people have excess cash and they're YOLOing into NFTs, which I do not advise. So the froth could be returning. This could be the beginning of maybe an alt season as well. NFT apps are number one. AI, close second. And then it was the Bitcoin ecosystem third. Bitcoin up 15.5% for the month. Ethereum up 0.8% of the month. Shout out to Ethereum. They made it positive for the first time this year. So that's great for all those ETH bag holders. Also, stablecoins reached nearly $250 billion. The stablecoin market cap is $240 billion. Shout out to Sanjay as well. This is from DeFi Llama. That is monstrous. And the other thing that's so important about that is everybody's adopting stablecoins. And when stablecoin dominance goes up like this, you know it's only a matter of time before some of this money goes into crypto. And again, another catalyst for Q2 of 2025. We shall see. I see Polly there making a smart comment. Anyway, ETFs. Oh, that date is wrong, by the way. That should be 2025. ETF has the highest. No, actually, it is correct. ETF flow has been the highest since 2024. I thought it was highest in 2025. It is, of course, as well. But digital asset investment products saw inflows totaling nearly $3.5 billion last week. Last time it was this high was after the election towards late 2024. And that is also the third largest inflow on record ever. Crazy amount of volume coming into these ETFs. We'll see. Again, ARK had a big dump yesterday, but I still believe this week will remain positive. Also, flows by asset. I'll turn myself off here so you can see. You see some big money coming into Bitcoin. Even some money went into Ethereum. 3.2 billion into Bitcoin, 183 million into ETH. Solana down 5 million. XRP up 31.6 million, and SUI up 20 million. SUI funds must be new or become a thing because there's only 400 million in them, but that's a big move into SUI. Short Bitcoin, up 1.6, which means people are a little bit cautious as well. So all in all, a very good week. And if you look at assets under management again, $132 billion in Bitcoin. So a 3.2 billion flow into Bitcoin. It's still a small percentage of the total assets under management. So it's important to benchmark those all the time. Also, in crazy news and degen news, 1inch launches on Solana. They decided to jump over to what I've been calling the black hole Sol for years. Everybody is ultimately going to migrate to the best, cheapest, fastest chain and away from where they came from. And 1inch on ATR, the ATR model is like, let's check out 1inch. Well, it's down hard, down 77, 78% since the top of the last bear. In fact, what's interesting about this chart is you can see 1inch actually went up to an all-time high in the bear market. The red shadow is the bear market. And 1inch actually spiked. It was doing very well for a limited time. Since then, it's been pretty much down only up until 2 days ago. And the ATR model said 15.5, big buy. That was the first buy since it's been around 40, 50 cents. So watch 1inch on ATR. I wonder, will it change their business moving to a new blockchain as well? Stocks over the last 7 days, really good. We have Tesla up 19%, Amazon 7.6%, Meta 10%, Google 4.7%, Microsoft 7%, Nvidia up 10% as well. So big tech, AI, all coming back. And that's after some very good performances since the bottom was in about a month ago. So it's been a good time to buy the dip. And a little bit of Tesla news. Apparently, Tesla is launching a three-row Model Y. Model Y is the best-selling car on the planet. Now it'll be able to sit 7 people. I don't know how big the people will be in the back seat. If they'll be, children or full-size basketball players in the NBA. I don't think so. But again, a 7-seater has been something that's been requested for a long time. And apparently it's going to launch in China next month. And this will be one of the new many models that Tesla are coming to market with. I think what I've heard and what I see, there'll be a smaller, maybe Model Y. There might be a longer Model Y for 7 seats. And there could be another few surprises there as well as the Cybercab. And Tesla Megapack could potentially solve the EU electric problem. Yesterday, we learned a lot about renewables, and the Spanish Iberian blackout caused somewhere between $3 and $5 billion in economic damage in just 24 hours. Think of the loss of productivity. We know a lot of people in the community that had cancelled flights. They weren't able to go to work. They weren't able to do anything, be productive, go online, etc. But just for about 130 of these megapacks that you see here in the picture, it would have provided a synthetic inertia buffer to avoid the collapse of a huge part of Europe yesterday. And the cost, the one-time cost for this is less than $200 million. To save $5 billion in 24 hours, that's a cost-benefit ratio of 1 to 20 almost. And again, they could fully deploy this across European grids. They need about 36 gigawatt hours of storage. I think, what was that? I can't remember what the outage was yesterday, but it was a huge outage, but because they just fell under the threshold of how much the grid needs to operate, and it just basically collapsed altogether. And it would save billions, tens of billions in revenue. Anyway, we'll see if that happens, but I do believe Tesla Megapack business is something that people really have a hard time valuing. I think the market cap of this business alone is worth $1 trillion to Tesla, which is more than the entire market cap of Tesla today. So again, yet another tailwind. And meme du jour, welcome to the club. Shout out to Discord who shared this as well. You got some good players, and a lot of things are definitely happening. The data coming out of ETH is not good. The question is what will happen next, and we're seeing tremendous adoption of things like Solana and Sui happening as we speak. That was OCTA for today. Thank you, Sean D. All these things are turned into Substacks. It's about 8 or 9 cents a day. Getting my Powerwall 3. Yeah, from Adam Q. Good job. And I hope you get some solar with that too. And we have TND too. In Spain, nightmare. Well, I'm glad you got your power back, TND. We missed you yesterday. Thank you all for coming. Hit the like and subscribe. Hope you enjoy the show. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.